All right, so the next part of chapter 2, part 7, or section 7, is to solve for literal equations. So using literal equations. And all literal equations are is an equation that involves several variables and is a formula for some kind of problem. So for this particular problem, we are told the formula, which is what makes a literal equation, to compute a person's body mass index is B equals 703 times W over H squared. B represents the body mass index, W is the weight, and H is the height. So we want to solve for W. So all we're going to do is we're going to take the equation that it tells us, which is B equals 703, and let me change my pen. All right, so B is equal to 703 times W over H squared. So it asked us to solve for W. So we want to get W totally on its own, and right now B is the variable totally by itself. So we're going to go through this and solve. So I'm going to choose a different color. So I need to get H squared out of the denominator. And remember, with a fraction, the denominator of a fraction is the part we are dividing by. So essentially we're doing W divided by H squared. So to undo sorry about that. To undo division, we're going to multiply. So we're going to multiply this side by H squared. And the reason I don't have to multiply 703 by H squared as well is because it's not a plus or a minus sign between them. That's the only time we have to multiply an extra term by something. So multiply both sides by H squared. So that'll cancel here, and we'll be left with H squared B is equal to 703W. Remember, I can take out that multiplication sign because if I don't have anything there, we just assume that we are, in fact, multiplying. So the next step is then to move that 703. Again, 703 and W are being multiplied by each other, so we're just going to divide both sides by 703. Which leaves us with H squared B over 703 is equal to W. And that's where we're going to stop because it only wants us to solve for W. We want W by itself on one side. It doesn't matter which side. And as long as we can get there, that's all we're asked to do. So then the next part says, what is the weight of a person who is 64 inches tall and has a body mass index of 21.45? So we're told B represents body mass index, so we're going to plug in 21.45 in for B, and you can either use the original equation or you can use the equation that you just made. I'm going to use the original equation, but it doesn't matter which one you use. So 21.45 is equal to 703 times, and then we are told that the person is 64 inches tall. So I don't know what W is. All over 64 squared. I'm going to leave a calculator that you can use. It's the Desmos calculator. I found a link to just go to the actual website so you don't have to download an app. So that is an option for you. So you can use that if you don't have a calculator at home. So you are going to want to move that 64 squared, or find what 64 squared is and move it to the other side. That's kind of why it's easier to maybe use the equation that you made, because then I don't have to solve for W all over again. I've already done it. So if I was to use that new equation, so this was the original, I would have 64 squared times 21.45 all over 703 is equal to W, which is the variable we're looking for. So this is one that we made. This was from part A. And this is a lot easier to just type into a calculator. So you can just type in 64 squared, and I'll even pull up my calculator so that way you can see it. I use the calculator I'm going to give you access to here. Start practice. So we had a fraction, 64 squared, times 21.45, 21.45, oops, and then all of that divided by 703. Okay, enter, and that gives us our approximate. If you don't want it like that, you can click this little fraction button here and it'll change it back and forth for you, but 21.977 would be, doesn't seem right, 124. I was going to say, I don't think somebody weighs 21 pounds. Let us, I don't know where my, there it is. 124 point, get that in here, 0.977. And it should be, if I move this little box here, about 125. So essentially we just skipped this second step here and simplifying the top and just went straight to the bottom. But approximately 125, they rounded up. We left it both about the same thing. So that is what you're doing for today. You'll have probably 2 questions today in just trying to solve for a variable given a formula and then use that formula in some specific way.